Hi, welcome back to episode 2 of Under the Hard Hat podcast. Today we're joined with Alex, the man behind the camera today, to ask a couple questions in person.
So Andrew, a lot of homeowners think general contractor is just someone who schedules jobs and gets subs to the site. But today I kind of want to talk about something different. I want to talk about a general contractor who's also the builder on jobs and how that's different.
I would say it's different because there are true general contractors. There's a lot of big companies like FED Corporation. They're around. They're big general contractors that do millions of dollars every month, really. We're a building general contractor, so we have 8 guys in-house. We lead 2 crews. We are on build or on site doing the building process, doing anything we can get our hands on. So if we can do the footing to maybe save our concrete guys, a couple of days, we will do that just to kind of get the schedule undermining and keep going with keeping it on schedule. I think there's a huge difference. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to it. Sometimes we're spread very thin and we're not always exactly sure what the best way to do it is, but we think that around here, we think that being on site and building with our crew is the best way to keep a project running.
Okay. So you're not just coordinating trades and stuff. You're physically part of this build.
Oh yeah. Anything that we can touch that we're licensed and insured to do, we are going to complete ourselves. Our concrete sub couldn't get to a basement, so he kind of held our hand and went through a basement pour with us. We rented all the forms, did it all ourselves, and then we had a third party inspect it. And that's kind of what we do. Stuff like that, things people don't really quite think about, but I think we're going to talk about it later about what, if a sub cancels, how long that can delay a build, especially on a foundation portion.
Makes sense. So walk us through why sequencing matters so much when GCing.
It's got an order. It's to keep everything running smooth and in line, really. Obviously, you got all your preliminaries, so permits, stuff like that, making sure your house can actually be built where you want it to be built. Surveying is a huge part of that. A lot of people skip surveys, and then usually halfway through the build, we're doing it. A lot of lake houses are like that. And then it just goes foundation, framing, roofing, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, insulation, drywall, and all the finishes. I think when homeowners, there's some homeowners that run really great house builds, and there's some that don't, and that's just the reality behind it. I think that when you take and put you're rushing to get done, so maybe say the electrician comes in before the plumber.
Right.
The plumbers are not very happy. When they get there, I actually watched it last week, they just push the wire right out of the way, or they'll cut it. And it's horrible that occurs, but it's just the pecking order of how it works, and that's the way it's always going to work. And I think when people skip that step like that, even if that plumber were to cut that wire with snips right in half, now that electrician's mad because the plumber's retaliating, the plumber's mad because he wasn't in there first, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Just stuff like that sucks. It really sucks, and then you got to pay a minimum for that electrician to come out and rerun that home run or whatever it had to be. It's just a horrible situation. I think that's the biggest deal with why that order matters, is just to keep it running smooth. Where I think a lot of people don't quite see it that way is, insulation can go before electrical. They can just pull out the insulation. Well, they're going to charge you $1,000. You know what I mean? They're not going to do it for free. Why would they? I don't blame them, but I think that's really why it matters.
Gotcha. So when you see some homeowners want to pull their own permits and stuff, what's the risk behind homeowners doing that themselves?
We ask them not to do it. I'm pretty upfront about it. I said, let us take the permit, let us pay for the permit. We do charge on top of our permit. So if a permit's $200, we're gonna maybe charge you $250 because we do have to file that. It takes time and money and energy. Yep. But we're liable. If our name is on it and we hold the permit, we're liable. So a failed inspection, you can basically just go to the court and say, hey, they failed inspection, they don't want to come on it and fix it. You're going to win that claim 10 times out of 10 times. Vice versa, homeowner goes in, pulls a permit for something, they come back and say, hey, you guys failed inspection. Well, we didn't pull a permit. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, yeah, you guys did the work. No, we're not the permit holders. And then it's just a real dicey area where it gets into He said, she said, that's when court costs get very expensive real quick. So if I was a homeowner, and we tell homeowners, I'm like, let us pull the permits. If you want to, totally fine. Letting you know you're assuming all risk. It says right on our building permit, if you're the permit holder, you're assuming all risk for this project.
Absolutely.
Why would you even put yourself in that situation?
Right.
For an extra $50, it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So
Yep.
I think that's why if I was a homeowner, I wouldn't. Like if I was building my own house, the electrician's going to pull his own permits. I'm not pulling the electrician's permits
Yeah.
for him.
You
It
don't
just
wanna
doesn't
be
make no
liable for
sense. Yeah, no.
So what do homeowners usually miss that like you coming in would catch really early?
It's definitely not the things people think about, like the trim that's not, perfect, or something that's crooked. Everyone sees that stuff. Like the wide open stuff is what everyone sees. Like a crooked wall, or like maybe some trim's got a gap behind it, or maybe the drywall corner's bowed out a little bit, so your trim's got a
Yep.
1/8 gap behind it. Not that stuff. Everyone sees that stuff. We have, 80-year-old guy can see that. You know what I mean? Not with peace and love, but just that's not the stuff that we're looking for. We're looking for stuff that's gonna last. Like, is your PEX line running very close to something that could be a potential like TV mount? Is that gonna be a problem in the future? Is there blocking for your TV mount? Do you have 14 3-wire instead of 14 2-wire to a can light that's supposed to be on a dimmer? Just stuff like that homeowners typically have no idea about, and a lot of times it's stuff that you wouldn't even know would make mistakes. It's only horror stories that I've heard. Like, we haven't really had our own horror stories yet, but I'm sure some will come, and that's just the time. But like, I've heard it from other builders say, hey, that this caused this. Watch out for that in your future build. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. So
Right.
now we're watching. Like the newest one I've heard is boiler systems. So when they come out of the ground with in-floor heat, there's 2 pipes. There's a single sleeve that people run. It's like a single mono sleeve, kind of just like that, and both the pipes run through. Versus there's 2 individual sleeves that 2 pipes run through. Well, one's your return
Individually,
feed.
yep.
Well, when they run together in one singular tube, and the 2 half-inch PEX, when
Yep.
your boiler turns on and off, they rub.
Which will eventually rub a
PEX
hole
yep,
in it.
Yep, so the
I got
PEX
you.
lines rub as that boiler turns on and off, which I would never known, but I was there on site when the inspector was looking at it, and he's like, hey, I know you're not the builder on this one, but that's something to be cautious of. I'm like, well, that's good to know. But it's stuff like that, like just being around it every day, that we see a lot more behind the walls than what homeowners do, I would say. And just stuff like that we're trying to keep our eyes on. So I think usually, like, for that reason, like stuff that the homeowners realize on the outside, like the trim and stuff like that, we've already seen it 3 times. We've had 2 discussions about what's wrong. We've discussed how to fix it. We already know what we're going to do to fix it. And we already have a joke about the guy that may have messed it up before the homeowner even brings it to our attention. And that's honestly the truth, is that, we've already made 15 jokes in the group chat before the homeowners even brought to their attention, which, it shouldn't happen, but it does. And you want someone that's on that and already got the game plan to fix it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we know everything. Not everything goes perfectly as planned, but what's something that you as a company are still improving on?
Well, there's a lot. A couple of biggest ones is obviously paperwork. I feel like all building contractors struggle with the paperwork end. We do have an in-house secretary that helps with a lot of the stuff that people don't even see. 941, 942, 943, 944 is all the tax stuff, all the billing and sending out estimates, and getting the guys' hours logged in correctly to the right job, stuff like that. But big things are change order paperwork. Even our attorney says we suck at it. He's honest with us about it. Like, if we're on site and it's like, hey, we want to add a closet here. Okay, well, that closet, it might cost you $1,200, which sounds like a lot, but you got framing, then you got drywall, then you got paint, then you got to install a bifold door, and you move your flooring around, and you double your baseboard in that corner.
Absolutely.
Just simple stuff. It might be even more than that. But we're just like, yeah, we'll take care of it for you, because we're there and we do everything, a lot of stuff in-house. So we're there. It's easy to frame it instead of the typical channels of, hey, yeah, we'll do it, but we got to have a stop work order, bring you a signed change order, have you sign it, add it to the total cost. It's got to be paid 50% up front, which it should be like that. If you run a building company, it should be. But I think sometimes we're too generous on stuff like that. And then what happens is it causes problems down the road of, hey, this costs this much money. You know, like this is a $1,200 closet. What? I didn't think it. Well, here's all the late, and it kind of gets homeowners and stuff on the wrong side. Also, estimating. Our estimating is rough right now. Obviously, I do it all, so we're at nights, weekends, working on estimates, doing takeoffs on jobs and trying to get them out. And we do bid a lot of projects. We don't get a lot, like our bid rate's down, but it's a project. Bid a house, you know, we got probably 60 to 80 hours in a house build, calling subs, working on it. And we're not charging for preliminaries, but for whole house builds, yeah, we're going to charge you money.
Yeah, absolutely. Homeowners sometimes will get, upset about material markups and things like that. What do you have to say to a curious homeowner on that spectrum?
I mean, I don't really think it's more about the markup. Like, it's not. I mean, some guys are, and I think some guys aren't. I think it's a fair line of some people are like, oh, I'm not going to tell them the cost of the material because I need to make this extra, $800 or whatever on this bunk. But it's more about if my guys are going to load up one of our trucks that are diesels, take them to the lumber yard to get lumber. That has to be a build expense, and I don't think that people should see that as a free cost. No one does. Like, if you're going to do something for somebody, like for a business, you have to get paid for it. But I don't think it's about, like, a lot of cost plus builders. So if you don't know what that is, like, cost plus is they just tell you, hey, this is $1,000 bunk of lumber, 1,000 some change. We're gonna add $200 to it for 20%, or however they look at it. It's not about that you can buy the lumber cheaper, because I don't think that's quite frankly the case. Now, sometimes it is, but if you're a homeowner, like if you're looking at building a house and you go up to, let's say, Harrison Lumber, and you're like, hey, I'm looking at buying this house package. Now, they'll probably work with you and be good and fair. Now, when I call them, I automatically get 10% off.
Right.
Because we push so much material through them every year after year, and I'm 22. I'm going to have 40 years of doing business with them, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not really like I'm adding 10% to what you would pay. I'm adding 10% to what I pay because of the relationship and the buying power that I've already created or established. So, if you pay...
Absolutely.
If you pay $10 for a stud and I pay $9 for a stud, I'm just charging you 10. It's the same cost you're going to pay, but I'm just, I got my relationship here, and I need to make money off my guys going to get the lumber, or even make money off what I've been doing.
And you're getting it there. I mean,
exactly.
You're transporting it to the job,
and we're making the phone calls. We're taking the takeoffs on the print. Stuff like that. I don't think should go unnoticed. So I think that's why a lot of people charge markups.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's something that should be hidden. Typically we don't charge on material. We just charge a GC fee at the end. Like, hey, if you want us to build your house, well, we're $20,000 to run your whole project through and through. Whereas some guys would be like, well, we're 20% on all your subs and we're 10% on material, and it's like, and it probably comes out to about the same. It's not something, but we're just pretty. I like to think we're a little bit more upfront about it now. I think we kind of changed our methods on that, and instead of being that 20% or 10% or 15% markup margin, we're just a set cost on a house price. So if you have a $500,000 house, maybe we got a $20,000 to $30,000 GC bill, which I think is totally normal. I think that's not I think that's a fair evaluation of it.
100%. Yeah. So who takes the blame when something goes wrong on a job site?
Usually it's me. So late night phone calls and trying to figure it out to fix it on a Sunday morning. We've had our fair share of those moments, or late nights, or leaving sporting events to go cover up roofs or something if a storm's rolling in. We didn't get completed that day, and that's part of being a GC. That's the stuff that you want someone to take care of. We've seen a lot of horror stories. I'll tell you one. I don't think he'll even care. Mark Kingsley's was house we were doing an addition on. We got the roof stripped. We did our entire side. We're framing. We got the synthetic on. We're getting ready. We got starter, drip edge. The whole nine. We're gonna lay shingles the next day. We're up in Holton Lake in our softball men's league thing, and it's like it's mid. It's about 7:30 at night, and we're all up there, and half of our employees go to it too. They're all up there, and so we're all up there having a good time. Look at the radar, huge storm warning, severe thunderstorms, heavy rains. we got a house open, and I start freaking out. And I'm like, God, I don't know. I call Mark. We had one guy down in Harrison. We were up in Home Lake, obviously, and I call him. He's on his way out there. I was like, dude, we got to go get this covered up. You know, I'll give you $100, whatever we got to do to get it done. And so I start racing on the highway back. Cruise set to, you know, some unappropriate number, I'm sure. And we get there, and it's pouring rain, and it's coming right down the exterior wall where we're tying into, and we got 6 mil plastic, tarp, slab staplers, just soaked head to toe. Homeowner was out there with us, bless his heart. He's out there on the roof with us, and we did get it, and we dried it all out, checked all the insulation, stuff like that. But I think it's about them scenarios that you might not ever run into. You might never need someone to be there to cover your house, but when you need someone to cover your house, do you have a fall guy? Do you have one person that you're going to call who's going to race around and figure it out and take
be there
pride in what he does?
Absolutely.
And I think that's a big thing. Also, like just little things like if you're a homeowner, you live in your house, we're putting an addition on. Okay, we come in, sub fails an inspection. You don't ask the sub why it failed. You're calling me. Hey, wait, why is this guy failing his inspection? So I got to call the sub. Hey, you know what's going on? Well, I don't know, man. And we try to avoid them as much as possible. Like on the last one, we noticed a couple nicked wires where our electrician, we noticed a couple black. So we spray painted them, said, hey, we come fix this before the inspector got out there. And that's about being the proactive, and instead of paying another inspection fee and blah, blah, blah. That's the difference, I think, and having the fall guy, you know.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So what's the biggest benefit for homeowners when just GC? You know, when going through that process and having that somewhat peace of mind, I guess you could say.
I mean, it's just all the things we've just talked about, micromanagement, having that one guy, having that one company that you're talking to that, you know, will they take care of this? And a lot of our homeowners that we build for are downstaters. You know, they're out of state. They have no idea what's going on. We might have a job site camera that they can link into, or, you know, to send a couple pictures from the farm in there. Or maybe they come up on a weekend and view the progress, you know, and they're happy. But just the same thing. Like they write one check. They're calling one person. They get real familiar with me, Janie in the office, or maybe Big E on site. You know, they're real comfortable with them guys. We're having Zoom calls every Tuesday to keep on the progress points, going through our scheduling sheet. You know, what's wrong, what's happening, what's going on. And I think that's a big deal. Instead of them trying to be at work or at their kids' softball games or baseball games or with their family trying to figure out, like, where's the plumber at? You know, why is he not there? He hasn't showed up, he hasn't called me, he hasn't texted, because they're horrible at texting. They are. They're horrible. They don't respond. It's like a pulling teeth to get them to communicate amongst each other. You know, I love them all, but phones are not a part of their daily schedule. So, and they answer phone calls from us. You know, if I call a sub at 7 o'clock at night, and that goes back to the buying powers. Like, you know, our concrete guy, one of the best concrete guys around, but good Lord, you try to call that boy. He knows it too. But when I call him, he always calls me back within the hour. So it's pretty, like I said, it's about the relationships that you build, and he knows what we expect, and we know what we're going to get with him. And that's just we find a bunch of guys that can do their job to our satisfaction that we can give to homeowners. When homeowners try to GC their own, they're not taking these, they have no idea, they're in the dark. Most
they don't always know the work that's being
they're
put
seeing
out
the
by
Facebook people, the Better Business Bureau thing that people pay for to get on the side of their truck, stuff like that. That's what they're looking at, which we look at longevity, communication, obviously cost standpoint. Not a deal breaker. You know, if our sub's a little bit more than the next sub, there's probably a reason for it. It's not because they're gouging, because they're greedy. It's probably because maybe they're doing something different. Like our concrete guy uses a different mix than most people. Costs more money, but it lasts longer. That's the stuff we're looking for in subs that a lot of homeowners don't. And I think that maybe they could see that as, you know, maybe they could say this is terrifying or scary, where we've kind of got the market down, especially around this area. We don't travel much, so we're not, you know, searching for new GC. You know, we're not going against different GCs with different subs. Everyone around here that's a good GC is typically using mostly the same subs, I would say, give or take in or out. All the same drywall. He's on the same. It's the same drywall for the other 4 guys. You know what I mean? But I think it's about when you need the GC, do you trust them? Do they look out for your interests? Are they going to fight for what you want? I think them are the big key factors to a GC. Now, if we, like, maybe we have one meeting and I'm not super personable because I tell them how it is. I tell them what I think. And if I'm not interested, I'm not interested. And that's just how the harsh reality of the world works. But we're not going to sugarcoat anything. We're going to be blunt about it.
Straight to it. Yeah.
Straight to it. If something's messed up, it's messed up. We say, hey, yep, we messed this up. We're going to fix it. We got our guy scheduled for Tuesday. Now, do you want that, or do you want someone that's going to hide it and just take care of it on the backside? That's up to the homeowners. But from a GC standpoint, I think that's the best thing about it, is one guy that you can call on that will always, text you back, give you insight, go through, and if something's wrong, just tell you it's wrong. I think that's what we try to be as generals.
Yeah.
And in-house, I think that's a lot easier to. With our guys on site every day, I think we've seen just about everything from every sub. We've seen a well guy rip out, a backhoe rip right out a 220 line coming out of the ground from consumers, bury it back in the ground, and we're like looking at it, and we're like, and they look at us like, oh well, they're just framers. No, we're the GCs. We're definitely gonna call and talk to someone about that.
We got to figure that out now.
Yeah, that's gonna get taken care of.
It's gonna be a problem.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like it.
But like I said, I think it's more about protecting what you want to invest your money in, because a lot of people are spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars on these homes, on remodels, and you take that, or maybe you pull it out of your retirement, or you want someone that's going to fight for every dollar.
Something you've worked hard to get, and you want
someone. If you're going to spend the money on, if you're going to spend $300,000 on a remodel, you want someone that's going to fight for that $300,000 to go. Not just to cheat people out. That's not a good system. I don't think, to cut everyone down, but to take it, make it the most efficient money that you can spend in that duration, and go on and give you what you want.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that's all. So.
Well, that's episode 2. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you.